Thank you for joining me on 13 Plus. I'm Cali Lichter, and this is On the Docket, a weekly recap of crime and court in and around the state of Michigan. This week, we dive deeper into the criminal record of an alleged bank robber, what pattern we found, and why Kent County judges are calling the county's foster care system a child welfare emergency. All of that and more is On the Docket. Thousands of people gathered October 18th for peaceful No Kings protests, including right here in West Michigan. But in Grand Rapids, organizers say their peaceful protests were targeted by violent acts. Although Emerson Wolf was hurt, they say it is nothing compared to what they believe are the injustices they're fighting against. Thousands of people took to downtown Grand Rapids on Saturday for the No Kings protest against President Donald Trump and his administration. While it was peaceful for the most part, videos and photos on social media show at least 2 cars running into protesters. Among them, the chair of the Palestine Solidarity Grand Rapids group, Emerson Wolf.
I was dragged by a vehicle about 5 to 10 feet. I don't have video of it, so I don't know officially. But there was a man who was attempting to swerve toward protesters, and my job as a safety was to encourage cars to slow down and give the protesters lots of space.
Wolf was a safety tasked with containing people within traffic lanes and helping facilitate the flow of traffic. Their story is supported by photos and videos posted online, some of which is no longer available to watch.
I may have been injured, but that's nothing compared to the horrors that are being faced by our immigrant friends being detained and Palestinians being detained.
They say, quote, a few bad actors does not change the mission and their plan for future demonstrations and protests.
People were out expressing their constitutionally protected right to free speech. And when you have 10,000 people in a space, it's challenging to try to keep order, but our well-trained safety team did a great job despite a few bad actors trying to commit violent crimes against peaceful protesters.
They say the opposition to do what they do only pushes them to do it again.
People who disagree with us are still our neighbors, and we would hope that they wouldn't attempt to commit violent crimes against people they disagree with.
GRPD received 2 reports of vehicles coming into contact with pedestrians. Police say no arrests were made and the incidents are still under investigation. A West Michigan man is facing charges after federal agents say he wanted to throw Molotov cocktails at Grand Rapids businesses. Authorities arrested James Cleland last week after a lengthy investigation. Cleland is facing a federal charge for possession of an unregistered firearm, which does cover Molotov cocktails, and we do not have a motive at this time. Do you want to go to the gas station down the road and watch the fire truck go over there? That's what a West Michigan man allegedly said to a confidential informant after planning to burn down 2 Grand Rapids businesses with homemade Molotov cocktails. A federal complaint says a confidential informant told a special agent with the ATF that 52-year-old James Cleland, quote, wanted to burn buildings and property of a towing company in Grand Rapids and the property of another victim at another local business also in the city. Cleland was allegedly making Molotov cocktails, which is flammable liquid in a breakable container meant to be thrown and explode on contact. An ATF special agent says while Cleland and the informant were driving to one of the businesses, Michigan State Police pulled Cleland over on northbound US 131 and performed a voluntary search on his vehicle. There, they found, quote, 4 glass jars filled with suspected gasoline inside of a canvas tool bag. One of the jars was tested and it was positive for gasoline and ethanol. In a recorded conversation between Cleland and the informant, the docs say Cleland wanted to leave to go commit arson, wanted to use a black Jeep because no one would see it, and go to a gas station down the road from one of the locations to watch the fire trucks go to the burning building. Cleland did not have a license to make explosives, did not register them in the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record, and cannot have firearms, period, because he is a convicted felon. Cleland has a lengthy criminal history going as far back, according to the federal complaint, as 1991, including charges in Kent, Allegan, and Kalamazoo counties. At least one of those convictions landed him on the Michigan Sex Offender Registry. If convicted, Cleland faces up to 10 years in prison. And a man with a long criminal history is now charged with robbing a Grand Rapids credit union and threatening the teller's life. The robbery happened on October 20th. Hollis Nunnery is charged with 2 life offenses. And looking through court records, I found out this is not Nunnery's first brush-in with law enforcement. The man charged with a Northeast Grand Rapids bank robbery allegedly told the bank teller to, quote, "put all the money in the bag before I shoot you in the face," leaving with over $1,700. Hollis Nunnery appeared in court today charged with robbery and armed robbery for the October 20th bank robbery at the Lake Michigan Credit Union on Leonard Street Northeast. According to a probable cause affidavit, the man, who police say is Nunnery, placed a plastic bag on a teller's counter and had a hand in his pocket. The teller put all the money in her till into the bag, with the man allegedly telling her he would shoot her in the face if she did not move fast enough. Detectives say the teller was shaken up and feared she would be injured. Officers were able to get an image of the suspect and noted his, quote, "very distinctive worn-out tennis shoes," which they saw on Nunnery hours later, leading to his arrest inside the Planet Fitness on Market Avenue. When he was taken into custody, detectives say several $100s in cash fell on the ground, with 4 of the bills matching the bait money from the bank. Nunnery was given a $500,000 bond, with the magistrate saying his prior criminal history and the pretrial report caused concern.
That is due to the court's concerns for community and public safety, and due to the nature of the offenses, which are both capital offenses, there is concern that the defendant may not appear.
Nunnery has an active case out of Northwest Indiana for store theft, with a probable cause affidavit linking those cases with store thefts here in West Michigan. Nunnery also has a significant criminal history in Kent County, with an armed robbery charge in 2002, multiple felony weapons offenses, and embezzlement in 2022. He also pleaded guilty to a federal felon in possession of a firearm charge in 2014, which stemmed from an investigation into a string of Grand Rapids bank robberies a year earlier. Now let's take a closer look at that criminal history. Nunnery is facing an open case out of Indiana for 2 counts of theft between $750,000 and $50,000 in Lake County, Indiana, back from September. Court documents say there was thousands of dollars in merchandise taken. A probable cause affidavit says on July 17th, Nunnery was the lookout for 2 store thefts, one at a Dick's Sporting Goods and another at an Ulta Beauty. A Lake County, Indiana detective got security footage of these incidents. He also obtained security footage from similar incidents at an Ulta Beauty store in Alpine, Michigan near Walker, another Ulta Beauty store in Grand Rapids, and an Ulta Beauty store in Portage. The Michigan incidents were also in July. When the detective compared still images from the robberies, he discovered the same people were involved in each case. That includes Nunnery. Nunnery's criminal history in Kent County is also extensive. According to the Michigan Department of Corrections, he served time for a 2002 Kent County armed robbery. He served time for multiple felony weapons offenses out of Kent County in 2007 and creating and or selling a fake substance that is made to look like an illegal drug. He also has an assaulting, resisting, obstructing a police officer charge from that year. In 2022, he pleaded guilty to embezzling $1,000 to $20,000 in Kent County, where he was sentenced to 1 to 5 years in prison and was discharged from parole in May of this year. In that case, court records say he had to pay restitution to Walmart. And according to federal court records, Nunnery pleaded guilty in 2014 to a federal felon in possession of a firearm charge, landing him nearly 3 years in prison and 3 years of supervised release. A federal criminal complaint says from July through September 2013, GRPD and the FBI investigated 3 bank robberies of Chase banks in the city. GRPD and the FBI identified Nunnery as a person of interest and at the time had a parole absconder warrant. At the time, GRPD also suspected Nunnery of the armed robbery of a Grand Rapids business. That led to an investigation from the FBI Violent Crime Fugitive Task Force, where multiple firearms were found at the home where Nunnery was staying at and were flaunted on a Facebook page connected to him. He was already a convicted felon at the time, landing him the felon in possession of a firearm charge. Next on the docket, multiple people are released from ICE custody after the ACLU successfully sued for their release, and why several lawmakers are calling on the top Michigan State police officials to resign. A father battling cancer is reunited with his family. Jose Daniel Contreras Cervantes was detained for more than 2 months by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Part of that detention was spent at the North Lake Processing Center in Baldwin. We're now hearing from the ACLU of Michigan attorney who sued to earn his release and 9 other immigrants who are Michigan residents. In a ruling issued in federal court on October 17th, Judge Brandy McMillan gave the federal government a choice: provide these detained immigrants a bond hearing within 7 days or release them immediately. The result? On Tuesday, our Peter Elliott says Contreras Cervantes was one of the many reunited with their families.
A family back together again.
This is why we do this work.
Jose Daniel Contreras Cervantes is now home after being detained for more than 2 months by Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
They've all been released. They are all home.
So are 9 other immigrants who were held indefinitely without bond hearings by the federal government.
There is hope, and we're not going to give up hope. We're not going to give up on these families and on these people.
Miriam Ackerman, a senior staff attorney for the ACLU of Michigan, sued to bring this issue to court.
The law on this is very, very strong. Decisions coming out all the time saying this is wrong, this is illegal, across the country and in Michigan.
On Friday, a federal judge ruling that ICE violated due process rights in denying bond hearings.
And she writes, in a nation of laws vetted and implemented by Congress, we don't get to arbitrarily choose which laws we feel like following when they best suit our interests.
For Contreras Cervantes, part of his detention was spent at the North Lake Processing Center in Baldwin. While in custody, treatment for his rare form of cancer was disrupted.
There's absolutely no reason to lock somebody up who has leukemia, is a dad, and is so deeply embedded in his community.
Still, Ackerman worries that ICE will continue its policy of detaining immigrants indefinitely,
despite this unrelenting wave of defeat in court. And so I think, if they're not stopping, we're not stopping, and people need to stand up for their rights.
For now, she's relieved this painful chapter is over, sharing a text she received from Jose's wife, Lupita.
The toddler is overly obsessed with her dad. She won't let him out of her sight. Last night, she slept with her little arms around his neck. He woke up sore, but he said it was the best sleep he ever had.
Once again, we reached out to ICE for comment on its detention policies. We also asked whether or not it will continue to withhold bond hearings for immigrants in light of this court ruling, but we have not heard back. At the time of this taping, this is America's Safe Schools Week, and the Michigan State Police is rolling out new online tools to help educators keep students safe. Our Kiara Patterson tells us how they work.
Really, over the last 10 years, I think that we've taken a much more sustained approach to school safety.
On Monday, Michigan State Police released their new school safety toolkits, aimed to help educators plan ahead, offering practical steps to strengthen school safety before an emergency occurs.
The toolkits really are intended as an additional free resource for schools to download and utilize. Our goal with all of these kits was to meet those needs.
Kim Root with the Michigan State Police says there are 3 different toolkits, one focusing on clear communication, another for emergency preparedness, and the last for responsible online safety practices. Each were developed with federal funding and input from Michigan educators.
Schools do a great job of developing emergency operations plans for in-school times. But we also know that, there are Friday night football games and there are field trips and there are even overseas trips for students. And so our goal really is to encourage schools to plan for emergencies associated with those events.
From small rural schools to large urban districts, Root says all Michigan schools can download the toolkits for free and adapt each to fit their district's needs. The rollout coincides with Michigan Safe Schools Week and ongoing training events across the state, including a school safety academy and youth summit in Grand Rapids this week.
It's not a one-size-fits-all. We know every district has different nuances in terms of who might be in charge of certain areas. Ultimately, our goal is saving lives. And so this work is intended to be part of the bigger picture of creating a safe Michigan.
Educators can download the toolkits from the MSP Office of School Safety website. And several state GOP lawmakers are calling on the leaders of the Michigan State Police to resign. This comes after 5 months after a majority of Michigan State Police troopers voted no confidence in the agency's leadership. These Republican senators sent a letter to Governor Whitmer demanding the immediate resignations of Colonel James Grady and Lieutenant Colonel Amy Brimacombe. They say the agency has become, quote, chaotic and mismanaged, and calls the leadership under Grady and Brimacombe corrupt and cowardly. The legislators cite the no confidence survey, alleged corruption and ineptitude, toxic work culture, and lack of accountability. They say Whitmer has, quote, done absolutely nothing, saying she is squarely responsible for what they believe to be a lack in leadership, and that MSP cannot rebuild trust while Grady and Brimacombe are in charge.
Governor Whitmer, clean house. Force Colonel Grady and Lieutenant Colonel Brimacombe to resign. Restore integrity to this department and give Michigan State troopers the leadership that they've earned. Because right now, the only thing standing between the Michigan State Police and the respect they deserve is the failed leadership sitting up there at the top.
The press secretary for the governor's office sent us the following statement saying Colonel Grady has demonstrated steady, principled leadership at the helm of the Michigan State Police, dedicating more than 25 years to serving and protecting the people of Michigan. It goes on to say, thanks to the efforts of Colonel Grady, troopers across the state, and their close collaboration with local law enforcement, Michigan has seen significant drops in violent crime. While some choose to focus on partisan attacks, we remain focused on ensuring every Michigander feels safe in their community. We have full confidence in Colonel Grady to get the job done. And next on the docket, we hear from a man who fell victim to a financial scam and why some groups are concerned about Kent County's foster care system. Anyone can be a victim of financial scams, with people losing thousands of dollars each day. Our Micah Cho talked with a man who's telling his story.
Patrick Crumback thought this would be him, one of the lucky few chosen by Publishers Clearinghouse for a grand prize.
Get all excited thinking you're going to be a winner.
On Monday, Crumback says he got a call from a man claiming to be from Publishers Clearinghouse. He said that he was in the area and ready to give Crumback his prize. However, there were stipulations.
What is that? He goes, I need $1,000 in Amazon gift cards. And I go, why? He goes, well, we got to make sure you're a real person.
Shortly after that call, Crumback made the trip to Meijer with the caller still on the phone and bought $1,000 worth of Amazon gift cards. He was told to lie to both his wife and even the cashier.
He said, peel off the backs, take a photo of them, send them to me, and then you can peel off the backs and then shred them up.
After that, the man on the other line tried to get Crumback for more, which he refused.
And he said, can you go open up a new checking account without your wife on it and put your 401k of $105,000 in there, and then you'll have no taxes.
Crumback later filed a report with the Michigan State Police, officially being told this was a scam. Sergeant Scott Dietrich says they see these cases too often.
That's why they go with these gift cards. Once they're scratched off, that money goes into an account, and now it's trying to backtrack where that money is.
He adds this is the time of year gift card scams ramp up.
So those are going to be more prevalent during the holidays because there's a lot more gift cards available, and people, it's not odd for somebody to go buy a large amount of gift cards, around Christmas time. For
Crumback, he's taking the hit in stride and calls it a $1,000 learning lesson.
It sucks in a way, but I learned, and now I got to work back for it. I'm just thankful that I didn't give nothing else away.
Kent County's foster care system is facing what some local leaders are calling a child welfare emergency. A nonprofit that oversees foster care in the county says recent state funding cuts could dismantle years of progress for local children. Our Kiara Patterson spoke with that nonprofit, West Michigan Partnership for Children, and they say the state's funding cut could put vulnerable kids at risk.
At any given day in Kent County, there are over 400 children in foster care. Those children and their families are going through their most challenging times in their life, and they deserve the best possible care.
The West Michigan Partnership for Children, or WMPC, has managed Kent County's foster care system for the past 8 years. The only county in Michigan using a performance-based model designed to improve outcomes for children.
That model requires really close partnership with a lot of different agencies, is in partnership with Bethany Christian Services, Samaritas, Catholic Charities of West Michigan, D.A. Blodgett St. John's, and Wellspring Lutheran Services.
But now that model is in jeopardy. CFO Tim Bergsma with WMPC says it lost all of its state funding after the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services decided not to renew its contract when lawmakers finalized the new budget earlier this month.
We discovered, probably along with other people, that some funding that was originally going to be earmarked for us to continue this work that I just described was no longer going to be available.
Bergsma says WMPC only learned about the cut through its partner agencies, not directly from the state. Without funding, he says the services that keep children with family members and prevent placement breakdowns could disappear.
So once that work stops, you'll end up with greater placement disruptions and lack of services immediately for the children. So who stands to lose here are the most vulnerable in this system.
WMPC has filed a lawsuit against MDHHS, claiming the state's actions violate a legislative mandate requiring Kent County to operate a performance-based child welfare system.
We disagree with both the decision to get made to not fund us, as well as how that decision was made and is getting carried out. And so we feel it's best that the courts work that out.
Judges from Kent County's 17th Circuit Court have also sounded the alarm, sending a letter to Governor Gretchen Whitmer and state legislators calling the situation a child welfare emergency. For now, WMPC and its partner agencies are still caring for children, even as WMPC's funding has dried up and the uncertainty grows.
We're remaining steadfast and focused on what do these children and their families need, but also defend our right to be there and to continue to do the good work we're doing.
A hearing in the case is scheduled for November 17th in Lansing. Now for more positive news coming out of a Kent County courtroom. A courtroom turned into a celebration and new beginning on October 17th. An 11-year-old girl who is hard of hearing officially joined her forever family, surrounded by her entire middle school class. Once again, our Kiara Patterson was there when the law caught up to the love that was already there.
We're gathered here in court to celebrate one of these, the confirmation of a new family through adoption. Today is about love, commitment, and beginning, and it's a privilege for this court to be a part of it.
In Judge Matthew DeLange's courtroom, 11-year-old Daisy, who's hard of hearing, called the session to order herself. With a smile, a gavel, and a room full of support.
Go ahead. Thank you. We are now in session.
Her classmates from Northview's Deaf and Hard of Hearing program filled the courtroom. A sea of smiles and waving hands, celebrating the family that's loved her all along.
You are witnessing something very important. A day when the law catches up to what the heart already knows, that this is and always has been a family.
Daisy's aunt and uncle, Alice and Edgar Collingwood, have helped raise Daisy since her father passed away 2.5 years ago. With her mother facing health challenges, they moved from Oklahoma so Daisy could attend a school that teaches American Sign Language every day.
We found the Northview school system, and they have a wonderful deaf hard of hearing program. She has just blossomed. She used to be very shy, very timid, and now her personality is really starting to come out.
The Collingwoods are also learning ASL themselves. And on Friday, they promised to be Daisy's parents forever.
We're both learning ASL. She also uses an AAC, which is an accommodation device that she can type words into and has pictures. And so if we can't understand what she's signing to us, she can pick it up and just write out what she wants to communicate. This is just a dream come true for all three of us.
Daisy's 12th birthday is on October 21st. But this, her family says, is the best gift of all.
She is gaining her independence, finding her own personality. If you've met Daisy, you love her. So that's all I can say.
The Collingwoods hope their story inspires others to open their homes and hearts through adoption. And thanks for joining me on this episode of On the Docket on 13 Plus. We have new episodes releasing every week, taking you into the courtroom for the latest updates and deep dives on crime in and around West Michigan. In the meantime, we'll bring you the latest on crime in court, both on air and online at 13onyourside.com. And when breaking news affects you and your community, we stream live on 13 Plus with what you need to know right when you need to know. We'll see you next time with updates on what's on the docket.